what he said?
I know what I think it said, but I'm not sure if it really said my nuts.
I kind of thought it was something like
That's what I heard was my nuts. He was like, ooh.
Welcome to Remnants. I'm Emily.
And I'm Kayla.
And we're trying something new. Kind of. I guess we've not recorded and videoed at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think so.
This is definitely not going to be our permanent setup. We've got some plans in the work, but they're just not there yet. So this is kind of our janky partial setup for now. But
yeah,
I think over the next year, we're going to work on really getting it fully fleshed out and having a solid, nicely set up video component as part of this
podcast. Yes, you can see our beautiful faces.
Right now, just in profile until we remember to turn and say hello. Yes. It's taking an effort. I guess we could...
Oh.
Earthquake!
Yeah, that's definitely going to sound good on the mic.
Yeah, my bedroom is not very well set up for this. For reference, the camera is sitting on my bed. So, this is a little strange. So bear with us. We're trying, okay?
We're making the best.
Yeah, this is for you.
Yeah.
Person listening, aka my mom.
Not my mom.
No, we need to fix the way we laugh before your mom listens to us.
So,
I feel like we have a lot of small talk kind of for this episode.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk about what happened when we were recorded
Last
2
time.
weeks ago.
So it's a new trend every time we record now that something haunted happens to us. It's just a rule. And last time, so it was
Two
Sundays ago, when we did the Kansas City Butcher episode.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most cheerfully anybody's ever said those words.
Yeah.
We were finishing up and doing our Midwest goodbye and talking.
Yeah, we're in your living room.
Yeah, and then we were just in the living room, and then it's still broad daylight. It was January still, or was it February?
Yeah, it was January.
End of January. And we're just talking, and then we suddenly just hear these bells, sleigh bells.
Yeah, ding, da, ding, da, ding, da,
And
ding.
I literally went, Santa?
Yeah.
And we stopped talking because they just kept going, and then...
Finally, curiosity got to us, so we went over to Emily's balcony to, look out, fully expecting to see someone, in a Santa suit.
Yeah, I thought somebody was, walking by with bells, or just Santa's just strolling down the... Nothing. And the bells stopped. And then immediately after...
It's a on the wall right next to us. Which is Emily's second bedroom.
Yeah. No one was in it. So, that was unsettling.
Yeah, and you did some research about,
I just
bells.
Bells and the paranormal, specifically sleigh bells. And it, pulled up, what was it?
A mythical creature.
The Carries? Is that what it was called?
The Jodenox?
Oh, that one, yeah. That one is specific to a specific culture.
Oh,
there was some creature that...
carries the bells and...
Oh, and it ushers in spring.
Yes.
Which was interesting because pretty much immediately after, it's been spring.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
The other one is the ancient Greeks believed in these evil spirits called
the
Cares.
I don't know. My head says Carries, but probably wrong.
Gotta ask an ancient Greek.
Well, let's summon them up.
How do you say this word? That's all we need.
Bye. So that happened, and we were kind of talking because we've been having a lot more happen. I feel specifically Kayla's had a lot of stuff happen consistently, and we're just is being more open to the paranormal and being in this for so long making us notice more things?
Yeah, am I just noticing it more, or is more actually happening?
Right.
Both, maybe?
Yeah, it might be a combination. I hear a lot of things about, people who are psychics or sensitives, how spirits describe them as, a white light or something, or, they're more noticeable. So, is that a thing where you're, if we're playing into maybe these innate abilities we have, if we have them, maybe more stuff's finding us because we're hello, ghosts. Mm-hmm. Now they're just at your house all the time now.
It's a party.
Party in the USA. And I'm too tired to notice them, so I'm just fuck you, go. I don't care. Maybe it's because I have cats.
Yeah, so then you just write it off as, like, cat.
Either that or cats scare the ghosts away.
That could also be it.
Or you're just more haunted than me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, kind of related and kind of carrying into the investigation we're going to talk about today, we went to dinner with the group that we investigated with, and one of the members in the group is sensitive.
An
Empath. And she, like, looked at one of us and she was like, within the first, like, minute of meeting her, she was like, which one of you is the empath? We're like, you tell us, because we don't know.
She never picked it back up from there.
No.
She's like, what if you're an empath? And I'm like, okay.
She was like, I think she said something like, I need to spend more time, like, to figure it out. And then we never followed up on, did you figure out which one of us is the empath?
Maybe we'll follow up later and be like, so.
Did you ever figure that out?
We need answers. So that was our spooky update.
Mm-hmm.
Guess other than that, like, we kind of chatted a lot before we got to this recording over coffee, so we got a lot of our other small talk off. I'm keeping Kayla away from football again.
I know. Wow, this is the big game.
I know. I'm the first.
So we've got to finish within the next 3 hours.
Oopsie. Yeah.
But this episode, we had to spend a lot of time talking about it because it's chaos, this investigation we went on. And at first we weren't even sure we were going to do an episode about it. And then the more we've listened back to our evidence and talked about it, we realized, oh, this is totally worth an episode. Yeah. But it just chaos, roller coaster.
Like, it was by far the funniest investigation we have ever been on.
Laughed so much.
And that's all we thought
like our intro.
Like
just some crazy stuff like that happened where the 12-year-old boy in me is like, ha ha ha, my nuts.
Like, that happened. Like, none of this was scripted, and I feel like it should have been. It was hilarious. And we kind of, when we left, you're like, well, worst case, it was a very funny, entertaining night, and we thought that was it.
Yeah.
There were some additional things that came with it at the end, like us learning that, definitely bring masks on investigations because you don't know the quality these houses are in.
Yeah, and going back and listening to the recording, you can tell, like, how we're all, like, coughing a lot. So I had a cough that lasted, like, a month. Like, it started immediately, like, that night, and it didn't go away for a solid month. And I kept thinking, like, am I just going to get sick? But I never felt bad. I just had this hack.
Mm-hmm. And I, the very next day, had the worst migraine I've ever had.
You were out for like 2 to 3 days?
Yeah, because I had one day it was the migraine. That got worse throughout the day, like, awful. And then I kind of had that, like, migraine hangover afterwards where I just felt like shit. Like, it was the point where I was just like, okay, we both said it. If this isn't better in like a week, maybe we should go to the doctor. Mine got better and I didn't go. Yours did not get better.
Mine did not get better and I just didn't go to the doctor. I was like, well, I'm not feeling worse, so it's fine.
Yeah, So
definitely we're going to probably be better about wearing masks, especially if we don't know much about the place.
Yeah, that's a lesson to anybody investigating.
This is a new place that is open for investigation, so we really went in very blind, and it kind of just shows, like, not every place is...
Same standards, same keep... Because I would say, like, when any of the bigger places we've been to, like Waverly, Pythian, Glore, all those, they have these similar... contained old places, but they have higher restrictions. They have more people going through.
I think because they're public places, like, they're just...
Yeah, and it's important to keep, like, a house especially is very enclosed. You don't know how often it's getting opened and aired out. I almost feel like houses could be more dangerous just because houses are easier to just decay and be left gross. So just keep that in mind because we're definitely going to get masks before we investigate anywhere again just to avoid that happening because that was awful.
Yep.
I mean, yes, maybe we had a spirit attachment, but...
I think it was actually more physical or, like, just from the environment. But I guess we should mention where we investigated.
We talked around it a lot. So it was the Maple Street House of the Dead. Or the Demon House.
Also known as the Demon House. Yeah. It just has all the scary names.
And it was in Atchison, Kansas. Our favorite, because of you-know-who.
Sally.
And yeah, it's a house. It's in the middle of a residential neighborhood. It's kind of interesting because it's sectioned off and it's a big plot of land and it's just kind of sitting on its own. And I think it had been uninhabited for a little bit.
Yeah, he talked about, which I can bring up in the history, but the current owner, he had talked about how it had gone through like 8 owners in 10 years, and it actually sat vacant for a few years before he and his business partner bought it, because allegedly everyone in the neighborhood just knew it was haunted, so no one wanted to buy it.
Yeah, and what was that block of land called, like, originally?
It was Block 56, and it was allegedly the site of the old Atchison cemetery, which was about 600 bodies. And when they moved the bodies to the current cemetery, they allegedly didn't move 100 bodies.
Yeah, and that's kind of the main...
For why it's haunted. The house was built in 1926, so on the site of this former cemetery.
Yeah. And
in the segregated part of town.
Yeah, so that's another part. Like, historically, like, I think this is verified that was in the segregated part of town. And that's kind of... Because I reached out to the Atchison Historic Society the week before we went to the house just to ask them, like, hey, we're going here. We've heard these stories about its history, but I can't verify it anywhere. Have you heard anything? Can you give us any information? And it was I just emailed them, and it was a very interesting email thread. Yeah, the first response, which I was surprised it came the same day, but the first response was, are you with some guy from Kansas City? And I was like, yes. Some of them are from Kansas City. We're going with a group. And then the next one was like, we've looked into this for other groups and people before, and we haven't been able to verify anything. I would just caution to take everything you're told with a grain of salt, essentially. Honestly, that was put nicer than what I got in the email. Yeah. But that was
the gist.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, that's, I guess, what kind of we'd been going into this with that mindset. But a lot of that is kind of how some ghost stories are, so it's...
I know, it's interesting that stuff can't be proven or disproven. Yeah. So then, what do you believe?
Right.
So, we did go and investigate there with GEM Paranormal.
Yes.
So.
Yep. We did that again. Yeah. And, I mean, with that being said, like, the history, there is history. It's just...
Not history of the house, per se? Is that where you're going? That it's the history of things that the owners have brought in? Because I can get into that.
Well, I mean, in addition to the cemetery story that he spins, he also has a theory about the house.
Yeah.
That it had been used to, like, imprison women, and that they were being kept in, I think, the attic and tortured and, assaulted and all those things. And he has a big spiel when you're in the attic, and he's, like, knocking on the walls, and you're like, that's soundproof. Walling?
Yeah.
Walling. That's not a word. He's like, that's soundproof. Why would you need that? Torture, basically, is how that story went. But that's one of those things that you could argue, if that happened, which, going back to our last episode, Kansas City Butcher, that does happen. Mm-hmm. And crimes against minorities are underreported even now. So if something like that were to happen in the segregated part of town back then, maybe it wasn't said. Maybe something did happen. It's really, crime is one of the last things you want to rule out as a possibility because it's so prevalent. So there's no history of it.
But maybe it wasn't documented. That does not necessarily mean it's untrue. Yeah. But
so, like, we don't want to say that none of these stories were true. They're just not easy to substantiate.
Right.
So that's kind of...
Yeah, and then there's also the story of a boy, Charlie, that was froze to death.
Who's apparently really into women.
Yeah.
But he's a child.
Maybe a preteen?
It's one of those places, and a lot of haunted places are like that, where they're like, the ghosts really like women. And, like, almost every ghost is a pervert, I've learned.
Yeah.
And this place is no exception.
Mm-hmm. So a little bit like the Haunted Mansion ride, but with maybe some actual weird paranormal stuff.
Yeah, and we literally,
some gimmicky stuff too, like
100%. Like, and we're not trying to, like, we don't want to knock this place at all. This is 100% kind of like our experience. I would still recommend going. I think it's worth the trip.
Oh yeah, because we had some weird stuff happen.
Yeah, but there are some gimmicky elements. Like, when we first walked in the front door, one of the doors in the living room swung open immediately, which is crazy if that were to actually happen, but I do know because we watched I can't remember I think it's Ghost Files, I think.
Paranormal Files.
Paranormal Files. They went and the exact same thing happened right when they walked in. So I think there's a combination of things that are set up to make it scary, blended with some potential activity that I think what we were starting to get out, might not be from the house itself.
Steve, the owner, he owns it with his business partner. He did put on their website that he wants to make fear fun.
Yeah.
That is on his website.
He succeeded.
Because, I mean, also in the living room, he has motion sensor lights, which, why would you put motion sensor lights in the most, so the lights were constantly going off because we're all constantly walking through the living room. So that's a little gimmicky.
And he had an old-timey TV just set to static the whole time.
Yeah, very, poltergeist.
Yeah, so, like... And,
that's to kind of, I don't know. I think he's just trying to make it, like, scary fun.
Yeah, so that part was
But it was a little... We're kind of like, okay, this is not what we're really here for, but...
Like, actual investigating is really difficult to do with, like, distractions everywhere.
Yeah, pictures were hanging upside down, tons of mirrors. He painted the house black, which is making a statement also.
Yeah.
So...
There's a lot of statements.
But it did make it funny.
There was an axe hanging in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot of different interesting things.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's... I don't know, do we want to kind of like do a tour through the house?
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, because then we can kind of talk about some of the stuff he's brought in.
Yeah.
So do you want to start in the living room, I guess?
We can just start in the living room because it's a very basic house setup. It's like, 3 stories, basically?
Yeah, if you're including the basement.
Yeah. So
but the upstairs is basically just...
It's the attic.
The attic.
So it's kind of essentially a one-story with an attic and a basement.
Yeah.
And the first floor...
It's got... I guess in the living room, there's the big chair that he says that's where the demon likes to sit.
Yeah, there's one chair. He's like, don't sit in this chair. This is the demon's chair.
And so he put a REM pod on there, and it did sometimes go off.
It went off
when no one was in the room.
On it.
Yeah.
We had some issues with batteries there.
And he talked about that. That one of the paranormal activities they have in the house is he has to change the smoke detector batteries like every 2 to 3 weeks because they just go through batteries like crazy in that house.
So he has like a map of batteries on the table. He's like, these are all my victims.
Yeah, so he has like kind of like a shrine to batteries. Like, these are how often I have to change them.
So, and we did encounter some of that. I think GEM had some issues with their equipment not working. And
that's true. They couldn't get one of the cameras to work. And...
So we didn't really experience that, but we also aren't very tech heavy. So
yeah,
it's kind of difficult to say if that was a thing we encountered. But so the first floor he has one room offshooting into it that he has a bunch of these like salvaged chairs from, what was it, like a church?
The Oddfellows.
The Oddfellows, yeah.
Which that's at Belvoir Winery in Liberty, Missouri. That it was the old Oddfellows home. We haven't talked about that place, but we have been there.
We have. We need to do an episode at some point. It's kind of difficult to figure out how we're going to structure that, but the Oddfellows essentially were an organization
kind of secret society-ish.
Yeah, kind of a secret society, and depending on who you talk to, they sound more culty. So it's kind of like they may have some darker stuff going on, but it's a lot of allegedly kind of thing. So we had chairs from there.
Prayer chairs. So they had like kneelers on the back of them.
Yeah, so we had that, and then a mirror in the closet.
Yeah, he had a lot of mirrors, looking at mirrors, too.
Yeah, which I don't like. That's infamously known as a way to set up, like, a portal, kind of. And we've had our Haunted Mirrors episode. And that room, that kind of room with all the prayer chairs, whatever they were, and the mirror in the closet is what he's used, essentially, as a seance room. Like, Steve is different from people that own a lot of these houses in that he does everything possible to make something happen, including playing haunted games and rituals and all of these things. And to me, that's where a lot of the
energy actually comes.
Yeah,
the paranormal.
I think there's been a lot of stuff potentially opened or brought into that home, and we can get into that more obviously as we go on. But from there's obviously the living room, which is kind of where we set up a lot and
like
chilled.
base camp.
Yeah, so we had that, and then the kitchen, it's just a kitchen.
And then there was a room off the kitchen that we never went into, but he did talk about how there's flies 24/7. I don't know if it was like an enclosed porch. I never even really took a peek in it, but he talked about how it had flies all the time. And so the door was just closed and we didn't actually go in there.
Yeah, and he had, I'm trying to remember what he called that one room that he built.
Oh, off the bathroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, a deprivation something.
It's a deprivation. He had a specific name for it. It was... no one ended up doing it. Okay, it's the psychomantium.
Oh, that's right.
Is what he called it. So the psychomantium, I don't know if that's like a thing in paranormal.
Yeah, someone tell us if it is.
But yeah, it's essentially like a deprivation room where he put a bunch of like pictures that he supposedly got off the dark web.
You like to say that a lot.
Yes.
I don't really know what that means.
A lot of things from the dark web, apparently.
How do you even find the dark web?
I don't know. I've never tried. And the thing with the dark web, like, you could just be getting something relatively innocent, but you can also get a lot of, like...
You don't know, really. You're just trusting who you're buying it from. And
that, but also you can get stuff that's related to, like snuff films. You can get stuff...
true.
Really bad stuff. And, like, if he is involved in the dark web, what is he getting? What is he furnishing this house with? What are the items he's purchasing? What were they involved in?
He did say some of them, like he and his partner, they try to outdo each other buying haunted items. So like one of them in that room is a mirror from Trans-Allegheny, which is a pretty famous haunted, I think, psychiatric hospital.
Yeah. So they have this psychomantium that he set up as like a deprivation chamber with all these haunted items, and the idea is you go in there, you're supposed to cover your eyes, you're supposed to do the spirit box. It's just like complete deprivation, and like you're supposed to shut all the doors and be left alone in there. No one ended up doing that. We kind of ran out of time.
Yeah.
But that's on that floor as well.
So then that's kind of the first floor. Do you want to then go upstairs?
Yeah, we can go up next.
Okay.
Up a very narrow set of stairs.
Very narrow.
To a little attic, like a little A-frame kind of.
Yeah.
And this is the room where allegedly, like, women were being held captive.
Yep.
And it has soundproofing, I guess. There's, like, carpeting on the wall, the ceiling.
Yeah,
stuff.
which was weird. Maybe it was just a studio for, like, a band. I don't know.
Yeah, or, like, maybe he's just hiding mold. But he has that. He has, like, movie posters from horror movies and stuff. He said initially he wanted to set this room up as, like, his little sanctuary or something. And then he just, through poking around and through doing spirit sessions and all of that, he came to believe that it'd been the site of, like, torture and horrible things and all of this. So
yeah,
he did a few different random experiments while we were there too. I can't remember the names of them
but that's where, like, at the beginning when he had that, like, sound that was like,
yeah, that was like some weird
thing that he said would stir up the activity and create energy.
And then it's like, my nuts.
So yeah, that clip happened when we were upstairs. Also, like, a room then upstairs that's, like, unfinished, so definitely looks attic-y. He's made into the haunted doll room,
which is fantastic.
He also said he has mirrors from Pinhurst in there, so more mirrors. And then,
those mirrors were set up facing each other again, and then there's just an army of dolls.
Yeah, and one doll had human hair.
There were dolls. He said the dolls move on their own, of course, which we thought we caught happening, but we kind of debunked that, but it was unsettling.
Yeah.
And then there's a Nazi doll.
Yes, there's the famous doll called Dirty Gertie, which I can say her history real quick.
Yeah.
So Steve, he says it's a Holocaust doll, Dirty Gertie, and the story of Gertie, or Gertrude, is her full name, begins with a family of a child from Poland during the Nazi invasion. The family was taken to the Krakow-Plaszow concentration camp, and they were put to death. And then, when they were taken to the camp, of course, all of their possessions were stripped from them. And the doll ended up with the staff of Field Marshal Goering. He was a big, bad Nazi guy. And the doll was then given as a gift to a high-ranking family under Field Marshal Goering. And the doll stayed with that family throughout the war, and she was played with a lot, which is why she's now all kind of torn and dirty, hence her nickname. After the Germans were defeated, Goering took a cyanide pill and committed suicide, and 5 of his staff members were then tried and found guilty and hanged. And Steve's grandfather was a translator for Goering, and he was there with him during the Nuremberg trials. So that's how he came in possession of the doll, because the doll and a Hitler propaganda book he traded for cigarettes and candy to the prisoners. So... Chill, yep. After World War II, Steve's Nan in England had the doll and book for many years, and she kept the doll in a glass case in her living room. Oh. And in 2004, his Nan gave him the book and the doll, and he said strange things started to happen to his family, including his daughter hearing voices coming from the doll and seeing Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler in her closet. And she was 5 years old at the time. He asked his Nan about the doll, and she said that the doll was haunted and she could hear voices, often speaking Hebrew, coming from the doll. So the final straw that made Steve put the doll in her current encasement, which is you put a crystal around her neck and religious crosses at her feet and salt around her, was when the doll fell out of the closet and was standing upright on her feet. And he was like, that's it. I'm putting this doll in this little case.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So that doll is in
and that's
the attic room.
And like a few other things, we kind of thought it was a lot of just posturing and storytelling to do with the doll. But then we had some things start happening later in the night that made us question, like, okay, maybe some of this actually did happen with this doll, and maybe this was a real thing, and it kind of blended into our belief that the house didn't come haunted, maybe. Yeah,
but maybe it's the stuff brought in and like rituals. And
the rituals are a real problem.
So I think that's kind of... Is that it upstairs?
That's about it upstairs, yeah. And we can go all the way down to the basement, which is creepy as hell.
I mean, it's an unfinished, old, creepy basement, so just by itself.
Half of it looks like it's currently being excavated, because it kind of is. He's digging around. He says he's found human bones there.
He thinks, I don't know if that's like then part of the leftover cemetery.
That, and he also said that he believed that bodies from the women that had been kept in the house were buried in the basement.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And I think he said something about finding child remains there too. There's just things.
Oh yeah, he's also talked about, I forgot about this, finding women's clothes in the crawl space.
Women's clothes. So there was things potentially hidden there, and even if the house was unoccupied, like, stuff could have happened in there still. So it's possible, and not all crimes get reported, so it could have happened. There wasn't a whole lot in that there were 2 mirrors in the basement again were facing each other, so there are mirrors everywhere. And the basement is where we conducted a session using the Spirit Talker app, I think.
Yeah, or some related type of app.
Yeah, and I don't really buy into those apps that much, but we did get some interesting interactions, including one of the members of GEM who went under, hearing a lot of German.
And a lot of demon voices. And that's kind of like someone in a group had asked, why do you think there's a demon in this house? And he said it's because of all the names they get through the Spirit Box or other voice apps.
Yeah, and he wouldn't name them. He would say we
get the P demon, the A, the N, and the Z demon.
Yeah, and I feel like P is probably like Pazuzu.
Yeah. The Z is, well, you talked about that one in your one episode.
Oh, Zozo.
Uh-huh. I don't know what the A and the N demons are.
I know there is an A demon. I can't think of its name. Like,
oh, it does. Is it the one that they did in Supernatural?
Like Asmodeus or something?
Yeah. I don't know.
There's a lot of demon names. So essentially, he hears a lot of demon names. I forgot already what that show was called. Paranormal Files. Is that what it was? So they went and they said that they got the name like the Bone Breaker, and that was what the demon called itself, was the Bone Breaker. Steve didn't mention anything to that effect when we were talking to him, but he's also very tight-lipped about the existence of the demon.
Yeah.
Like, he says that they're there, but he doesn't want to address them, which a lot of people are like, but sometimes it was like, you're just saying everything that's associated with demons and telling us there's a demon here. So,
yeah.
Is there a demon? Is there not a demon? What's its name?
Yeah.
But we did get some interactions, though, later on that kind of made us wonder, too, like, okay, maybe there is a demon then. But That was kind of it with the basement, though. There wasn't a whole lot.
And that's actually the room we probably spent the least amount of time in.
Which
You
is
and I.
probably a good thing, because
Yeah.
it might have been one of the worst rooms.
Yeah. And I'm just not a fan of basements anyways.
No, that
Because I was like, oh, there's cobwebs on the ceiling.
Yeah, and that one had some very major spider vibes to it, so...
Yeah, and we really only had 6 hours to investigate, so it was
went
kind
by
of
quick, too.
it was a quick, investigation. I don't know, I feel like there was just, like, so much that happened. Like, I don't know what you want to go into next.
I mean, I don't know, like, do we start with the funny stuff?
I mean, we could start with
the
the funny. I don't even know if we'll probably share this on Instagram, but, like, there was one point where we were taking a break in the living room while some of the group was downstairs. And there was this motion sensor that was clearly, like, from Japan or something. It would not shut up.
It was just nonstop. We were just, every time, and we kept trying to move it so it stopped going off, and it's still, and
we couldn't find, like, the off button.
No.
So I tried to, like, put, like, me and Susie both tried to, like, hide it or put it up against a wall, and it just would not go off, and we were laughing so hard.
Yeah, to, like, put this investigation into context, like, there were so many things set up and so many people in this small house that it was just pure chaos. Like, there'd be people talking upstairs in the attic while we're downstairs with a spirit talker and a spirit box and this motion detector all going off.
So you just couldn't help but laugh.
So there's just blah, 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 and and then just us laughing, and just like, what the hell is this place?
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many, and then there's the motion detector light going boop, boop, and then the REM pod and the demon chair just
and then
utter chaos. And at some point, because there's Bluetooth speakers set up, not at all shady, at some point I think Steve started showing somebody a video, so we just heard the audio from the
video. He then connected to the Bluetooth speaker in the kitchen.
And we're like,
who's talking?
What's that? And yet, Dale.
It's making me still laugh. I don't know if you guys probably don't think this is as funny, but...
It's just, like, mind-boggling with the things that were happening. And then one of the members from GEM Paranormal just kept hiding in places around the house. So we'd just be walking, and then there's just somebody...
He got me a couple times. I jumped.
Like, this entire thing was hilarity. It was just so funny, and, like...
So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then we thought that was all it would be.
So then initially after, we're like, I don't even know if we'll do an episode about this. Like, we had fun, but, like... I don't know if it's worth doing an episode about. But then I was like, I still want to review my footage because I left my recording in several places in the house. And we did the Estes method. And, yeah. Do we want to go with the one that's pretty legit? Do we just want to jump in and then go to the rest of the stuff?
I think... So what's the timeline? Because there was one part of the investigation. It was a very heavily, like... tour-based. Steve was with us a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. But there was one thing that he has as part of his show, we'll say, where he takes everybody into the room with the prayer chairs and he does a ritual game where he summons something called the Sandman. And we did not participate. I wanted nothing to do with it because I don't like games like that.
Yeah, we were actually upstairs at the time. This was towards the end of the night.
And interestingly enough, reviewing our... Like, we experienced this in person, but then reviewing our findings, we'll say, we kind of came to the conclusion that things had started changing, like the energy started shifting near the end of the night, mm-hmm. and a lot of it seemed to follow after he conducted the Sandman ritual.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I guess on that topic, I don't think we've called this out. So the whole night we were there, he had these two voice spirit talker apps in the kitchen. I think they both were in the setup in the kitchen. One was a woman's voice and one was like a deeper male voice. So I don't know if they were the same app or different apps, but they were those apps that would randomly say words every so often. And I don't really believe in those.
Not usually, no.
But some weird stuff started to happen.
It was almost like there were some moments earlier in the night where the spirit talker or the spirit box would say something interesting. Like, they would play off something someone had said in an interesting way, but then it was almost like near the end of the night, it was like it needed time to sync with us, and then it started finishing sentences.
Yeah, the male voice one also then switched to in a different language. It sounded German?
It sounded German. There are a couple things that we almost feel like we were able to roughly translate, but neither of us speak German, so...
Yeah.
You know, but we had various people there being like, that sounds like German.
Yeah.
So something changed, and we actually did get some evidence.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to include this one, but where you're saying how it kind of like synced with us, I could play this little clip that I believe was Dustin.
If anybody's with us, can you knock 3 times like this? I gotta go change my battery. Again. Still gotta go downstairs and plug the same thing. You got to go. I don't got to go.
Got to go.
Yeah, so that's where Dustin said, I need to go change my battery. And then the Spirit Topper said, got to go. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and like...
moments like that.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, like, is the app listening and just picking up from what we're saying? But...
It didn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that was just one of the few instances.
And it's never, like, repeating what we say. It's saying a variation of it or saying something connected to it, which is pretty compelling.
Yeah. So, but we can then go into the Mr. I have a recording of the Mr. Sandman ritual.
Yeah, because I do feel like, as far as, like, our actual evidence, it does seem to all follow... that. So it's like that's like almost the opening of everything.
Yeah. So
that sounded really creepy.
He actually did it twice, which I didn't realize.
Show me your ear. Mr. Sandman, show me your ear.
You also hear all these chairs moving around, which is that part of the
creepy.
ritual? So they chant again and he gets the group to join in. We're upstairs, which is why it's kind of faint.
Because we were like, no thanks.
And there's the creepy male, maybe German voice.
I'm here?
It's also a security camera.
Yeah, that goes through everything.
Mr. Sandman, show yourself here.
What's up with all the chair moving?
Right, this stuff. But don't worry. That's
And what's the security camera looking at?
I don't. No one's in the room. This is at the end of the night when I left the recorder up there by itself.
Popping.
That's the REM pod.
Oh.
That's on Dirty Gertie. So yeah, so the Mr. Sandman chanting happened, and then we've got these things that happened.
Yeah, I feel like that literally did summon something.
Yeah, so then this happened just a couple minutes after. For that dragging.
REM pod's still going off.
Do you hear those footsteps? Boom, boom.
Yeah.
And this is the recorder. No one's upstairs. There's this German coming through.
Dragging in the footsteps.
Yeah, and like I don't remember people moving around furniture. So then here's some more weird noises that were captured, then just another couple minutes. So that's a door opening, the bathroom door opening, which is at the bottom of the stairs. Did you hear how close that was to the recorder? Yeah. All right, I was kind of talking. Let me go back. This is a whole 2.5 minute clip because I just played it as a series because this is where we think we translated some of the German.
Yeah.
And then you also hear these noises that sound incredibly close to the recorder. That's the one we think, hail the regime.
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone speaks German.
Sounds like prayer, but...
movement. It sound like I see.
Yeah. And that REM pod just like going off like crazy. Sounds like a...
But very curious.
Could very well be saying that. See another thump.
Sunflowers.
Were the dolls moving?
I don't know. And like you can clearly hear like us moving downstairs and talking, and those are more muted than the noises that sound like they're in the room with the recorder. Yeah, I don't know. Those are just interesting because those they came after the Mr. Sandman chanting, and it just you can. Why I like to play that full like 2.5 minute clip is like you can hear talking downstairs and you can hear doors opening downstairs, but those are more muted sounding, whereas those noises coming right by the recorder, and no one's up there. That recorder was left up there by itself.
And is that what was going on while we were in the basement by ourselves?
No. That was when I left the recorder upstairs after our Estes method session. And then I think we were just in the living room just sitting.
Okay, gotcha.
It was kind of the end of the night, and we were like, I don't know. I think some people went downstairs to the basement, and then some, I think it was eating candy, and then some were in the room with the prayer chairs doing the Mr. Sandman ritual. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Those noises sound like they were right there by the recorder. And then all that like crazy German coming through, like that one that sounded like hail the regime, which very Nazi.
We downloaded an app, and I would butcher saying it, but there is something that translated pretty close to what we were hearing that sounded like hail the regime. Which, like, it wasn't just us thinking it sounded German. It was echoed by pretty much everybody there
in the group.
Yeah.
And sorry if it's not German. It just sounds...
Yeah, it might not be.
it could just be gibberish, but it just sounds very, like, kind of Eastern European.
Yes, and, like, maybe it wasn't saying actual words, but it was interesting that it went from essentially...
Is your cat
speaking, like, English reliably to that after the Sandman thing.
Yeah. And I don't know if those voice apps have a way to manipulate the...
They could.
But I don't... It still is just interesting, and we just wanted to note it. It also just seemed to correlate with... I don't know what those sounds were.
Unless he's just that fantastic of a showman that he has it so perfect. He's like, okay, after we do the Sandman game, I'm switching it to German. I've got my little friend who's been hidden in the attic.
Yeah.
He's crawling around throwing dolls.
Yeah.
Because there was a moment, and I think we were able to debunk some of the dolls having moved, but we were very uncertain about other dolls, if they'd moved or shifted at all, because there's just so many. And there was one point in the night where we were convinced that they were crawling forward. Yeah. Like, we're like, they're moving.
Maybe that's the noise.
Wrong.
Or there's a rat. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like you'd hear more like like type noises if it was a mouse or a rat.
And they go,
yeah,
so.
and it was just really in that like 4-minute span of the recording that I heard those noises by the recorder, and it was right after the Mr. Sandman chanting. So I don't know, it's sus. Okay, so now we're gonna go back down to the first floor, and this was actually earlier in the night during the tour Steve was giving us. So we were wrapping up on the first floor, and he was getting ready to take us down to the basement.
Yes.
And I feel like we should just play this and not really set it up, because you will be able to pick out the creepy, weird, interesting part. So I play it.
I play it.
Okay, so I'll take you guys down here. Here, let me grab this real quick. Okay.
That's still going on.
Thank
You're
you.
gonna be changing that battery out here in a little while.
Oh, we change it all the
Tell it
time.
to stop. Step away.
Stop.
They might just be sitting.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if the shafts gonna get up. No, it's just
Just make something noise.
stay there. It's fine. Reset it, Byron.
Long as it's sitting there and
Reset it. Oh, you make sure all night. That's fine.
all night.
There it is.
Okay, so I'll take you guys down here. Here, let me grab this real quick. Okay.
That's still going on.
Oh, you make sure all night. That's fine.
All night. Smoke a cigar.
So that
has 2 parts. I decided to keep them together because they were so close together.
and it kind of gives a good perspective of the chaos that was here.
Yeah.
But like we're still able to pick these things out. We're like, that we didn't hear that. That didn't happen from any of us.
Yeah, so the hi. Yeah, it was all adults. There was no children, and no one that even had no one was going, hi.
No, and like it's interesting because the word child is picked up multiple times elsewhere, and then to have that hi.
And it was clearly, it was just an interesting moment. We were just all walking from the living room towards the basement, like we weren't really, it was just like the child, like, well, all these adults just were in a room, and hi. And then that creepy whisper. And then there's actually another one that happens just a minute later.
Super.
And
Right here. Yeah, you guys all want to see this. It's just
Did you guys see what the camera did though a little bit ago? Did y'all watch it go real fast when I had this? So. Come on here.
like, what the hell? That was like a person dying, grasping for breath.
Yeah, can we play that again?
I guess.
There's no way that was any of us. Shut up, Rogue.
Oh yeah, this thing doesn't like when I go
Like,
back.
though, we could only play it once.
Yeah, it doesn't like when I go backwards.
Yeah, you guys all want to see this. It's just
Did you guys see what the camera did though a little bit ago? Did y'all watch it go real fast when I had this? So. Come on here.
Like, what? And obviously none of us like heard that in the moment or like reacted in the moment. So you have the child high, and then just 30 seconds later there's that weird whisper your
breathing.
breath, and then you have this breath that comes another minute later.
Yeah.
Like, so something was like seemed to be, or multiple things were with us.
And I'm trying to think of like how those sounds could have just like happened with us doing what we were doing, but I just don't think anybody was.
I mean, that's why you can definitely hear like at the Emily and I or other people are whispering, and so there's other whispering. Okay, I know that that's just some of us talking low. Those don't sound like any of our group.
No, and none of us were just like wheezing like that. Like,
No, no one was wheezing.
like that's not good, man.
Yeah, I think I would have been like, if someone was like, like, I can't even
Can't
do
do
it.
that sound. I can't do it. Yeah, it literally sounds.
I've been like, do you need to step outside? You sound like you're dying.
It sounds like how a ghost would breathe in a movie.
Right, like it almost like is. And I feel like if it was like a gimmick of the house, he would have called it out.
Yeah,
like,
he
but
called
oh my
it
god,
out.
did you hear that? Like, so I think that was, I don't know. I think it's legit. I don't know.
Yeah, every other thing was called out loudly multiple times, and that was never mentioned.
The high still freaks me out.
Hi.
Yeah, I guess now we can go back upstairs where we
touched my
did.
back.
Ew. So weird stuff happens to us now when we record.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's
So
fine.
now's the time for our
Ishtish method.
yes.
I guess leading up to the Estes method, so we went upstairs. Byron went with us from GEM Paranormal, and as we're setting up, like Emily's going first, so she's like getting the cord.
Oh God, how did I forget this?
Oh, I didn't. This happened.
That I was like, she just canceled stuff.
Yeah, I think he was reading a lot. Like,
I'm like,
I think
that's
you
just
could
annoying.
hear him felt like it wasn't quite right too. But
Well, yeah, we put it in my hand up next to the cat balls and we got excited they were going off.
yeah.
Oh my god. I don't believe in those that much, but
No.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Your name is Emily.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah. Well, I had the recorder in that room. I haven't forgotten.
Might have. It's pretty loud.
Should have.
Oh, good. Now Najee was sitting in the dark room by myself.
Oh, no.
Your name is Emily.
I mean, that is pretty crazy that spirit. Now, maybe you could say also the Spirit Talker app is listening and it heard the name Emily and it's saying
Didn't say
it.
anybody else's name though.
But it didn't say anyone else's name,
Yeah.
so like that was pretty.
And then like not too long after, probably like 11 minutes after, I heard my name again.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple times in the spirit box. So
Okay, so I guess should I play this too, where one of the first words we hear you say in the spirit box is a topic that we were chatting about?
yeah, we could do that.
Okay, so I'll play this clip really quick.
Keep going.
Right. Oh, no. They already know what they did.
What we did?
Yeah, your podcast, you literally put out there that was the worst idea ever, having us come to Beatty with you.
Oh yeah, because you scared us. It was.
You did. We're like, wow, we should have done this after.
Oh.
No, we want to go back though.
We were just on 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
you're fine.
We were.
So we were all talking about. I forgot Mike. I think was up there at this time too. We were just talking about Beatty Mansion and
Yeah, because they're the ones who kind of. I'm so sorry. They're the ones who went with us to the house and kind of showed us around before we were left alone, and
freaked out.
it set me into a spiral of anxiety and doom from which I could not recover.
We could not recover.
There was no going back.
So, yeah, Byron, Mike, and Emily and I were all talking about that while Emily's getting ready to go do the Estes method. And so then, pretty quickly into Estes method, she says this.
Hang on. Is there a volume on this?
Yeah.
Aggressively clicking the volume button.
Who's here with us?
You tapping your foot.
People.
How many people?
Baby. Thank you.
So to us, it kind of sounds like Emily says Beatty.
Yeah, it could be Beatty
baby.
or Baby. It's hard to say, but like Beatty is pretty compelling considering we just been talking about it.
Yeah, so kind of, and it's not a common name or word. So.
No. Yeah, I don't know. That we'd had a very light mood about the house for a while, but it was around this point that it started turning for us with these Estes methods sessions.
Which I guess maybe we should explain for those of you that don't know what the Estes method is.
So basically, the Estes method, it's using a spirit box, which a spirit box jumps through, radio stations very quickly. I think we usually stick with AM waves. Jumps through them really quickly, and the idea is, it's not going to be picking up full words or sentences or anything because it's moving so quickly. So if you're getting a word or a message through there, the idea is that is a ghost speaking with you. Now, we prefer the Estes method because what that does is it has the person using the spirit box use headphones, so they're only hearing what's coming through the spirit box, and then usually you could be like blindfolded or blindfolded? What did I say? Blindfolded? you're blindfolded while you're doing this because, the deprivation kind of helps you because in a sense you're going into like a meditative state. And the moments that we've both experienced where we had some good interactions, it did feel that you're kind of like outside of yourself in some way. It's
right, like
hard
a
to
lot
explain.
of times I don't really remember.
Time can move quickly.
Yeah, and like you come out of it and like I have no recollection of what I said or...
So that's what's happening when you're the person using the spirit box, and then you'll have a partner or partners on the other side asking questions. And the idea is when you are, deprived of all outside sources and you don't know what the questions are being asked, you're then providing more real answers because they're not being influenced by the questions being asked, essentially.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess we can just play individual clips and chat about them, or...
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Why are you here?
Dealing with me?
Are you dealing with Emily?
Hard to deal with. I'm not.
So that's kind of that moment. I think
Dealing with people.
So it's weird, like sometimes that app downstairs seemed to be like completing our spirit boxing, like, because it wasn't going off continuously, but when it did go off, it seemed to be an answer.
Yeah. Dealing with people.
Yeah.
That was weird. Like immediately.
Well, and I am asking, like, why are you here? Like,
Dealing with people.
Like, that's, I don't know, it's weird.
Like all these people again in my house.
This is the one that we really like. We did debunk the 3 knocks that happened.
Oh, yes.
But you can hear them.
3 knocks are me being fidgety.
Yes, they're not a demon, or not arriving.
Unless I am a demon.
Who are we talking to?
That's too,
Demon? We can't?
Is the demon keeping you from talking?
Living vessel.
Is Emily a living vessel? Who's a living vessel?
You wanna?
You wanna? I think you're being propositioned by a demon.
Yeah.
Living vessel? You wanna?
Yeah. Yeah, is it saying you wanna or you wanna, the name?
I always took it as you wanna.
Oh.
Living vessel, you wanna, huh? Whore.
Yeah.
The demon's all over the place.
Yeah. And you keep hearing that like rah, 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 rah. That's the stupid security camera that's constantly turning, which is also weird that it's supposed to be motion activated, so why does it keep turning? I don't know.
Yeah, and then maybe it's just us moving around, but it's always like
yeah, and it's so loud. So yeah, I don't know. That one is just like demon
living vessel.
Living vessel. It's very
You wanna. That one almost creeps me out the most. You wanna?
Yeah.
It's like such an innocent question, but then with the context, it's like, no,
I don't.
I do not want
No,
to.
thank you.
Thank you for asking. Hard pass.
Hard pass. Let me fast forward to this next one. Oops, I think I went too far. Sorry. There we go.
What demon is here?
Yeah, that.
You don't want to talk about the demon?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Is Esther here?
So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Like, who's here? Demon.
Demon.
No, do you not want to talk about the demon?
Nope.
So yeah. Oh, we're not done yet.
No, yeah, this happens to us a lot where we're like, we didn't get anything from this, and then we're like, wow.
And really, this whole Estes method session with Emily was 6.5 minutes. We're cutting them down, like, because there's a lot of dead air.
Yeah.
But basically, these all happened, like, pretty close together, all these moments.
Yeah, even cutting it out, like, without cutting it out, it's a short interaction, and we still got, like...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we probably could play the whole thing, but, it's, like, just a lot of dead air time. But, so, let's go to the next one.
Are you alone?
1. In. Us. How did you get here?
Yeah, then you don't answer. So that one is another one where it sounds like the Spirit Talker app is kind of...
Yeah, because what's the order? It's 1...
Or I ask, are you alone? You say, Emily says 1. Then the Spirit Talker app says, it sounds like Badman's here.
Mm-hmm. And then here and us?
And then you say us, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, there's 1, Badman's here, us.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Spirit Talker, like, pretty much everything it said during this interaction was relevant to a question asked.
Right.
Which was, because, I mean, you've heard before how often it's going off. Like, it was constant, and then it started being responsive.
Right.
Yeah. And we weren't in the same room as it.
No.
So,
it was weird.
You know, cool, casual, love it.
Yeah, so let's see me go to the next.
What's your name? Thunder? Hello? I'm still here.
Death is not the end.
So, like, I think I hadn't asked a question or for a little bit, and then I ask, you say thunder, then you're like, hello?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm still here, and then death is not the end.
And I know I said it like that because I heard it like a question, because I'm trying to be better about saying things the way I hear them. So, like, hello? Death is not the end?
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Isn't that from The Mummy? Oh, no, death is only the beginning.
Similar. And then this is the last one from your Estes method session, which happens actually just like 20 seconds later, so. Here we go.
Why are you here? Emily. Are you here to talk with Emily? What do you need to tell her? Started hearing my name a little too much. Ooh.
Yeah, so I ended that because I was getting uncomfortable given the words we'd heard previously, and then I think it said my name like at least another 2 or 3 times after I said it that one time. I was like, okay, it's been saying demon, living vessel, all of this, and now I'm hearing my name. I'm like, I think it's time to just end that conversation before I get possessed or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Good call. Yeah. And then Emily's like, do you want to do it, Kayla?
Yeah. Like, your turn. You're up to bat. Talk to the demon.
And interesting enough, like, I lasted the same amount of time as Emily. It was also like 6.5 minutes. So it's kind of curious, like.
And we don't actually normally end those voluntarily.
No.
We usually have to be tapped out.
Which I hate doing because I
always freak out. I'm like,
well, there's no good way to do it because you're, like, in deprivation. So there's no way to alert, like, it's done.
Yeah. Like, hello, come out of your trance. It's like waking a sleepwalker. But, no, we both voluntarily, like, I think it's time to stop that. It seems safe to make this now. Mm-hmm. So that's unusual. It
is unusual. So, yes, we'll go into mine because what happened with mine was different.
Mm-hmm. Which was interesting because it literally was like a minute apart.
Yeah, they were like back to back.
The experiences changed.
And so did the Spirit Talker app.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways.
You can leave it on so I can kind of see it.
Okay.
Freeze to death?
That's
Can you tell me your name? Back when? Back when, as in a time period. Can you give me a time? Awful.
So yeah, that freeze to death, back when, awful. I don't know.
That all kind of, it's almost like Maybe not directly answering the questions yet, but the back when, freeze to death, awful.
Kind of seems all related, but I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. I mean, there's also
least.
the story of like Charlie freezing to death. I don't know if it's...
Yeah, he like got an injury at
sledding. Mm-hmm.
Like he got disemboweled essentially, and then he, in theory, according to the story, died in the attic.
Yeah. So, all right. Then here's the next one.
Honey, can you tell me how many people are in this room right now? How many living people?
It's a really deep voice, but I couldn't make it out. Demon.
Can you tell me what name, if there's a
Another
demon?
really deep voice. American.
Is it an American demon? Okay.
Duh.
Duh, an American demon.
Life.
Idiot.
Cool. The more interesting is that first part where it's like, it says downstairs, she's coming,
And then you say,
and then I say demon.
yeah, she's coming, demon.
That's weird. I don't like it. I do think it's interesting, like, Steve is yelling more during my Estes Method session, which you can kind of faintly hear. Like, he's stirring something up. I don't know.
He's just in the background.
I'm not sure what was happening downstairs, but it's kind of funny to hear.
It's just banishing something into the attic. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so here's our next one.
Are there women in the basement? Spirits of women? Are they in the... They're up here, aren't they?
Heaven.
Well,
I don't wanna.
you don't want to go to
Doug.
heaven? Doug.
Burning.
Poor Doug.
How many people are we talking to right now? Or how many entities are we talking to right now?
There's a lot of voices, but they're all overlapping.
Can you give me a number?
I can't.
You gave me two numbers earlier. What
It.
Thank you.
is it? Just one thing?
I think that was the end of the interesting part.
Thank you. Well, I did say, can you give me a number? And you said, I can't.
Yeah. And I don't know, just the heaven, I don't wanna, burning. That's weird.
A little bit. A little concerning.
Oh, it gets better. There's another string of words.
It gets better.
Another string of words. Let me go to those.
Is there a child here?
Christ. Oh. It was like a deep groan or something.
Do you want
Demon.
to be? Do you want to be here?
So it said, I think I said child. I cut out a little bit when we were
Yeah.
playing, but I say child, Christ, then demon. Those three words together are very interesting.
And it's important to note that we're using just like a regular spirit box. It's not like the spirit talker, which sometimes I feel like has some selective words kind of in it. It's made to sound scary. The spirit box is literally just pulling radio stations.
It's just scanning radio stations very fast.
And to hear child, Christ, demon, I don't know.
Yeah.
And for it to have a specific voice, which is something I've noticed with some spirit box sessions, the voices change to something you're like, I feel like this isn't on a radio station.
Right.
For you hearing that deep growl and groan and all of that, and you're hearing voices that are making you go, oh. Mm-hmm. And if they're overlapping voices, that's unusual too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I've got one more for my session.
Stop. Warning.
Good enough for you.
Oh, that was weird.
I feel like it was quiet a lot.
You had some good response. You responded a lot. I'd
I
have
know.
to look back.
Does this mask make your face really hot?
I've been getting flushed randomly.
Yeah, I'm got really, my face is on fire. Feels like.
It was responding.
I feel like I wasn't saying anything wrong.
Well, I think it was doing the same thing that it did with her, where it was talking between the radio downstairs. Like you asked about German, and it sounded a whole lot of German coming from downstairs.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I asked if it.
Oh. There was a lot of gibberish, or what sounded like gibberish. But some of that, there was definitely some. Yeah, I don't know. That was, and then I stopped. So that was where I say stop, warning, and then I'm like, I'm good.
We've both had enough happen now that I think we take things more seriously. Where it's just hear my name, good. Stop, warning, good. Don't want to play with that.
Yeah, I feel like both of our Demon came up with both of ours. Emily was hearing more her name, and mine I was just hearing a lot of deep voices. I kind of called them out. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but we both had creepy interactions that we were like, nah.
Yeah, that doesn't need to continue.
Yeah.
And I've never... Well, I've heard my name, I guess, come through the spirit box before, but it was at a place where there was supposed to be an Emily spirit.
Mm-hmm. So which Emily was it referring to?
Ooh.
So, yeah, I don't know.
And just, yeah.
Well, you had Emily coming through the spirit box and also that spirit talker app before we started. My name is Emily. I don't know. It was just super weird.
Yeah. I think something wanted to possess me. Which maybe was the migraine.
Well,
Demon! And in the basement with that session we had there, Steve was convinced the spirit liked me.
That's true. So Emily also did an Estes method down in the basement.
Using Steve's spirit talker box thing.
Yeah.
My little teddy bear mask.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
It's funny.
There's like a little demon in the dark.
Well, I think that's
that's all the evidence. We had plenty of things happen that weren't paranormal per se. It was just, in the wise words of someone we went on that investigation with, it was just a haunted house gone wrong.
Yes, that was the best quote. This is a haunted house gone wrong.
There was just a lot happened that night, and it's really hard to condense it into one singular description, but it was chaos, and it might have been haunted, and I think that house is a pretty good example of what happens if you want something to be haunted, and if you try really, really hard to do all of the things that are known to make things haunted, like play with Ouija boards and play summoning games and bring stuff in from the dark web potentially that may be related to death and all of it. It's
like you're gonna get chaotic bad energy like I think we experienced.
Yeah, you get what you put into it, and I think a lot has been put into that house.
Yep.
That might contribute to some of what we were experiencing.
So it is open for investigations. So 1322 Maple Street, Atchison, Kansas.
Bring a mask.
Bring a mask. And also use Google Maps, not Apple Maps, because Apple Maps will take you to another.
Yeah.
Apparently there are 2 1322 Maple Streets.
Don't go to that first one because it's
poor people.
That's a residence.
Unoccupied by living.
For the ghost hunt.
I was like, this house looks too nice.
Yeah, this doesn't look like the picture. Might have been nice to spend the night there in comparison.
Yeah, right. Might have had a. But yeah, it just was a very entertaining, interesting experience. It's really hard. I feel like it's just a wild night. It's really hard to sum it up. Like Emily was just saying, it's really hard to sum it up in a sentence.
Chaos.
Pure
chaos. That's the best description I can think of for it.
Because, we just had some unexplainable moments. Maybe it's all coincidental. I still don't know that high. I think we did get some actual activity there. Yeah. And some of the weird groans and whispers are just not explainable, I guess is all I can say.
And I don't know, if you guys do go investigate on your own, we dare you to sit in the demon's chair.
Yeah, we did not.
We did not, but you should do it.
Yeah.
Take a picture, record it, see what happens.
If you go into the psychomantium. Yeah. We didn't do that.
Do all the things we weren't brave enough to do, and then let us know what happens. And also know that we take no responsibility.
That's true. You go there at your own risk.
We gave you the idea. We asked you to do it, and all we could say is, just record it. And
Yeah, heck, I'm so glad I had my recorder going because it's definitely caught some just entertaining, creepy moments.
it was one hell of a night.
But we're still laughing about some of the stuff that happened.
We are, and I don't think we sustained any permanent damage to our psyches, souls, or bodies, but we will find out as time goes on.
So definitely go to our Instagram at Remnants Paranormal. We'll post different videos, and because there's also some funnier moments that happened
There's
that
some friggin' hilarious moments at this place. I can't.
that we're not going to put in the episode, but are great for Instagram.
Yeah. Oh my god, I still laugh about it.
So we'll go there, and then you can also let us know what you think. Did you enjoy this investigation? Were you like, oh, you guys are cray-cray? We are cray-cray. Please leave us a review, especially on Apple iTunes. That is how people that don't know us are going to discover us. And so please leave us a review. We're
not begging, but we are.
But we are. Please.
I'm on my knees.
Yeah. That's the extent of my begging.
Oh. Yeah, I took it too far.
No. Any parting words?
It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. Kayla needs to watch the Super Bowl tonight.
We got an hour and a half to edit. Let's go.
Guess that means we gotta go.
Yeah. So you're gonna say your phrase?
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Peace.
Peace. Peace. I need a snack.
Look, it turned off.
It sounds like someone speaking backwards.
That
Yeah,
turned
it
off.
does.
It does. And that's the you know what it is? It's Latin.
I should love this.
Listen closely. That's Latin. And you know what Latin is, right?
Yeah, I got my major in Latin
So listen close.
from college. So took 8 years of it.